is the best of 5 semi-final match from ESL Open Cup number 57. As we get this set up to go. It's Reynor versus ShoWTimE. It's a best of 5 because it's a semi-final. So yeah, I mean, not much else to say, guys. Just welcome to the series. How you doing? We've got the glorious part of this where this is actually going to be probably for YouTube. This is going to be one of my YouTube videos to start filling the days for Katowice. We are casting it live on Twitch as well, so hello to everybody, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're out there in Twitch chat right now. It's so good to see you guys. I'm sure you're all looking beautiful today. It's so good to have you here. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, I just want to take a quick moment because I've not had a chance to be like, oh, hey, YouTube, in a while, because we were just casting WardiTV 2021, and that just kind of kept on happening, and all the games were good, so they've just been uploaded for a while. But I just wanted to say, like, hi, YouTube, and thanks so much for continuing to watch the videos. We had a bit of an upswing on the channel lately, so it's been nice to see the viewership going back, trending towards what it was for a lot of last year, so hell yeah, thank you so much. And as always, if you end up liking the video, don't forget to hit like and maybe subscribe. But only do it if you like it. Don't feel peer pressured into doing it now. Just remember to do it at the end if you liked it. Yeah, we got Bazinga in the chat. You know what? I'll read this out because it's very topical. It says, I usually watch on YouTube. It's cool to be here. Well, you know, that's awesome. It just means that now one of the YouTube videos you're going to miss out on because you've already seen it, you know? You actually get the bonus content on Twitch as well, right? All the stuff between the games that I cut out, you know. Yeah, on YouTube, we basically, as this game ends, we cut it to the start of the next game. Very rarely I'll leave in a little bit of insight if, Harstem doesn't shut up and keeps on talking and what he's saying is kind of interesting. But yeah, usually you miss out on all the fun between the games. Spoilers, it's not actually that fun. I'm usually sat there, like, waiting for the game to start, and I start singing and stuff. It's a bit of a nightmare, honestly. Oh, the Winter Championship logo is still on. Good point. Oops, that's not the one we want to turn off. Turn off this one. Boom, there we go. So yes, intro's done. Setting up in this game, it is a little hatchery block to start us off here. I don't really know what to expect. I want to say I've not seen too much of ShoWTimE's play lately because he's been a little bit more kind of hidden away. We saw him playing. He played in WardiTV 2021, right? I'm not crazy to say that, or am I crazy to say that? God, it feels like we've just finished the Winter Championships. I know he didn't play there. So now I can't even remember a tournament that ended 10 days ago. He did play in that, and he went out in the groups. Yeah, and he lost to a laser, right? Okay, so that was actually a really interesting series. This was the last time I saw ShoWTimE's PvZ. He lost to a laser in a series where he pretty much saw every all-in... He got off to really good starts, and a laser decided to all-in counterattack. And in that process of the all-in counterattack coming out and stuff like that, we basically had a laser becoming a very... he just kind of won the game because ShoWTimE just kept on building probes. He didn't really scout the all-in coming. Even though he got into really good positions, there was just no precautions there. There was no safety. There's no double checking of what a laser is up to. And that cost ShoWTimE that series, and that cost ShoWTimE advancing out of that group, because if he'd won that series, it would have been a very different scenario. He would have been probably advancing over a laser into the playoffs, and maybe he could have made a run there because a laser went into the playoffs and actually had a very close series against Clem. Who knows what ShoWTimE might have been able to do. ShoWTimE Clem is always a classic, right? So yeah, it's... that was the last time I saw ShoWTimE's PvZ. So what I'm saying is, kind of expecting some Stargate openers, probably some Void Rays at some point as well. But not too surprised to see these Oracle openings as well. Very likely that we see a few of these mixed in. ShoWTimE is one of the few players that really is still going for the double Oracle or triple Oracle opener on a fairly regular basis. So he is still mixing that in a good amount. As these Adepts here picking off the Zerglin or so to get a start. We got a Nexus down on this bottom side, and the Oracle just gonna get pushed away out over to this bottom side. So again, just not really finding much with Oracle number 1, but that's okay. Remember, the extra Oracles are all on the way, and they're gonna have the energy to utilize here as well. Obviously, this is generally better the moment that you get 2 Oracles out, because then you're already one-shotting drones, and that's obviously a big improvement as well. So lots of good stuff to be done right now, as the few Adepts are just going to go up. Well, okay, guys. I mean, sorry. I was just... you know what I was doing? I was actually muting the Raid Shadow Legends stuff just to make sure it didn't, make any noises. Oh, and there it is. There's a big dragon. We just missed out on it. And now the drones have died. God damn it. Sorry, my whole point was that I had the thing selected and I didn't deselect it and maximize, so apologies for that. I didn't mean for it to blow up in your face. All right, 4 drones going down as the Adepts continue to move around. So good play by the Oracles. It's all Oracle kills. Sorry that we missed it on the screen. As you see, the Oracle's going to come back in. They should activate their energy, otherwise they're not going to do much. He gets 4 more drones, so pretty good start from ShoWTimE here. Now, just a reminder as to how this goes in the long run, right? So you've got yourselves kind of this drone damage being done. This is submarine, so typically this is a more aggressive map. This is not the kind of map you see 4 or 5 bases on. This is the kind of map where both players typically look to kind of play around 3, 4 bases and just end it there. It's not easy for ShoWTimE to hold a lot of bases. I don't think it's very easy for Reynor to. It's a good map for Reynor to be aggressive earlier because of the shortness of the map. So it's actually kind of interesting for that regard. I actually don't know how exactly to talk about submarine in PvZ because we see this map so little, right? This is a map which we just do not see very frequently at all. Even in the best of 5, usually something else, usually it's one of the vetoes. So really intriguing as we see one of the Oracles going down. A second Oracle goes down. That was some miss micro there from ShoWTimE. That's really painful when you build triple Oracle, especially because look at what Reynor is doing. He's going to go into Swarm Hosts. So Swarm Hosts is going to be his style. It's actually really bad to lose these Oracles because these Oracles give you so much potential to shut down Nidus networks, to shut down the Swarm Hosts if they just walk across the map without the Niduses. These Oracles are meant to help you control a lot of the space that's on the map, but now, if there's only one of them, there's nowhere near the same amount of damage, there's nowhere near the same potential. But denying these Swarm Host players, whether it be via walking across the map or whether it be via a Nidus network, there is just no way to really shut these down as easily as there was before. So, obviously, I was never going to like, ShoWTimE losing those couple Oracles, but with the way that Reynor is playing more than ever, I think this is actually going to be quite a problem for ShoWTimE. He's also going into Disruptors, and at the end of the day, Disruptors are also just not really ideal against Swarm Hosts. If this Disruptor hits a Swarm Host, brilliant, that's great. I mean, ShoWTimE must know what he's up against. He's seen the Infestation Pit, so he's obviously comfortable going into Disruptors. I mean, he's about to have Templar Archives. That's what I want to see. A few Archons, some splash damage that can be a little bit more reliable against these Locusts. That would be much better. As the Locusts, the Swarm Host move down the bottom side, the Oracle pulling down. A couple of Disruptors move across the left. I'm just going to see the 2 High Templar warping in here from ShoWTimE as well. A few extra Zealots down in the corner. And Disruptor shot to start. Well, that's going to be a good start if they connect, but he only gets one of them. Good split by Reynor. And this is what I mean. Disruptors are not that useful. They get one Swarm Host here, but it takes 2 of them to kill one. And even then, if they're fighting the Locust, yeah, I mean, is that really how you want to be trying to push the Locust back? It's far from ideal, isn't it? It's far from ideal as we're just going to be seeing a few more units going over to the right side. Flings, Roaches, the Ravagers coming back around the left. The Swarm Hosts are still moving around the right as well. Just going to be seeing ShoWTimE is actually looking to try and catch these. Obviously seems to know they're over here. He does find them to push them back. Swarm Hosts do not have their Locusts available yet. At the same time, though, Ling Roach Ravager starts showing up as well. As Reynor has this, again, very aggressive composition, right? The Roach Ravager generally comes in. It's not the most effective Roach Ravager, but it's very good because the Swarm Host, the Locusts, they are leading the fights. If the Locusts are leading the fights, it means that you're never really losing any Roach Ravagers, so you're never having to replace those expensive Ravagers or anything. Disruptors get a couple of Swarm Hosts to start off. The Locusts are going to be coming in. Not sure how much I like it over on that left-hand side with the Roach Ravager moving around. Disruptor shot fires. Oh, it's a lot of Roaches. Good connection. Okay. The problem is, where is everything else? Like, this Roach Ravager isn't even backing away. Usually you back off and wait for Locusts again. He felt as though he maybe had a moment there. That's how, Reynor was looking at this situation. It's going to be seeing a few more High Templar warping in, and the +2 weapons is on the Forge as well. So bringing all of this through. Revelation down on the Roach Ravager army. Going to go for a push down to the 3rd base again. Couple Corrosive Vials, and that's a dead Archon. Next Disruptor shot. Hello! 2 Ravagers, make that a 3rd. And the Disruptor shots have been great. I don't like this, though. These Locusts are going to jump down, and that's going to be a lot of damage because the Zealots have to run back through them. So that is a huge problem. A lot of damage done there. ShoWTimE is losing the fight on the left side also. And this falls apart, giving Reynor the 1-0 lead in the best of 5. GG's. In the bottom right-hand side, our Red Protoss player is ShoWTimE. Taking on the Blue Zerg in the top left, Reynor from Clash. As we get into Game 2 of the best of 5 series. So again, these are obviously replays from last week, there was that day where I just did not really feel up to casting in the Open Cup. First time we missed one in about 45 weeks, and then everybody started thinking, where is Wardy? Is Wardy dead? Is Wardy okay? Turns out, yes, I was completely fine. I just needed a day. I was overwhelmed by the concern, I guess. It was kind of funny at the time, though. It was kind of amusing. All right, so yeah, we set up right now. This Overlord heading down to the bottom right-hand side. Gateway is coming up from ShoWTimE, the hatch, and a couple of extra drones coming through the assimilator from ShoWTimE into the main base. Just going to be seeing the single probe moving around as well. Comes across to the far right and just going to be up to the top also. So moving that around. And hatch coming in. Just going to be seeing the gateway going to be completing soon into the spawning pool. Yeah, you guys know where this is going, right? Hatch, gas pool, all of this getting going. A couple drones on the way out. It's going to see a probe of ShoWTimE down here. It's going to come in, build up the Nexus. Yep, that's ready to begin. So Nexus on the way here as our Overlord's moving across. Yeah, not really much to talk about then, right? We could talk a little bit about the map itself. It is romanticized. It's a nice large map. This is, for me, one of those ones we're likely to see the double Stargate Void Ray on, of course. I would be more surprised if it didn't happen than if it did, to put it that way, right? I know we've been seeing double Stargate Void Ray a lot lately. We've got the Void Ray sound memes to bring into the stream as well. Can you believe this? ShoWTimE did not enjoy... well, he did not enjoy it. He criticized my Void Ray sounds. There wasn't enough of a bzzz sound. Apparently, my Void Ray noises are not accurate representations of what Void Rays do. Which, in a way, like, I don't mind. Because if you think about it, in my eyes, I'm putting my own little, I'm putting my own signature on it, right? Like, I feel like it was funnier for not being accurate. But maybe that's just me. Anyways, ShoWTimE's talked me down. I've been put in my place. The man of the hour, because every hour is his, has told us to make better Void Ray sounds. So I'm working on it, guys. I will do my absolute best whenever possible. Stargate going to be finishing. Obviously, we'll see if it is going to be a Void Ray first or Oracle into Void Ray, or if ShoWTimE is still a fan of the triple Oracle. Nope, he will not be. So it is going to be a Void Ray first here this time around. So Void Ray coming through. Got a set up and just going to be seeing the Overlord of Reynor moving into the main base. Void Ray should be able to pop out and go for that OV. Make a play for this. Void Ray pops, activates this prismatic alignment. Just going to see the Overlord going down. The Oracle is on the way as well. Just going to be seeing a couple of Queens start out the front, and yeah, I mean, again, everything kind of as we expect it to be. Intrigued to see what Reynor brings to the PVZ. So this is kind of awkward, right? Because we just casted Reynor in the most recent ESL Open Cup. And if you're watching this on YouTube, there should not be a spoiler necessarily. But because I actually am going to put the number 58 Cup, I'm going to put them on YouTube before the 57 World, which is what we're casting now. But it's kind of weird. So this is like the week after this game happened, or this series happened. Reynor was playing a lot of very fun styles against the Void Rays. A lot of Spire play, very aggressive styles. It was kind of cool. And he kind of did make it work, even when it didn't feel like it should have worked. So I'm kind of down to see how that progression maybe went. Like, what did it look like this week when he was playing, when he plays against these Void Rays? And it'll be interesting to see those comparisons. Like I say, we're kind of doing it the wrong way around. We're watching, Reynor a week later, maybe having worked on his styles, before. Now we're looking like, what he was doing a week ago. Sorry, I'm getting myself confused trying to explain it. Maybe I should just shut up. As you do see, Lair is on the way up in the main base. Drones are coming through. The Queen's on the way out in the natural. Second Stargate finishes, and we will have a Void Ray starting. Evo Chamber and a couple of Extractors down on the third base. All of that coming through. The Oracle of ShoWTimE still moving around. There's a couple of Voids coming up, and yeah, the Lair on the way from Reynor as well is about halfway along here. A few drones and OVs all on the way out also. Void Ray and the Oracle takes down a Creep Tumor on the front lines. I'm not going to show up with this Void Ray, takes down that Overlord as well. So, I mean, pretty nice, right? I mean, you're looking at 3 Overlords, 2 Lings, 2 drones dead in the start of the game. It's really not a bad setup at all. This Oracle was aiding with some of that as well. And ShoWTimE just going to go Twilight Forge behind it. One thing we might say out of this series is a lot more kind of the storm follow-ups, right? You go into that storm on the ground and, you know, charge, and then you go into like carriers. What we have seen a lot more of in the last week, I would say especially, is we've seen a lot more disruptors with the Void Rays. So Void Rays, you go into disruptors and you can go carriers a little bit more quickly off that, but it's a little bit riskier in certain scenarios. It's just a different style, but it really is becoming very popular. So we'll see if that, it's not going to happen this game, but we'll see if throughout the series it's something that ShoWTimE was testing out at all. From Reynor's point of view right now, melee upgrade and a Spire, so he is going to go into one of these Spire build orders. Now, I was very skeptical about the Spire openers. To me, you build these Mutalisks and there's Void Rays to help you defend them initially, so the first few meters aren't crazy. And don't get me wrong, you get to enough meters, these Void Rays are going to look terrible, but it just means that the first round of meters doesn't do much, and then you've already got double Stargate to prepare with, you know, Phoenix and so on, to deal with the Mutalisks properly. So I was never really a fan of this, but Reynor has been showing us how he uses the Mutalisks to buy himself some time, makes a big switch out of there, and from there is able to hit like a big timing on the ground or so, to make things work. Oh, those Lings through, they kind of did get behind the Adept. At least one of them did. Now they're going to get in. And that might be a problem for ShoWTimE as these Lings just stream on by. The Zealot's going to hold a few of the Lings out at least, but Lings are in the main. Some of them just back off. If nothing else, this is already annoying, right? Keeping the pressure up, and we're just going to be seeing a couple probes going down. Lings back towards this panel on the right. Voids and the Oracle picking away at all these Lings. The Zealots going around the back as well. Just one Ling taking the lead there. As 13 more meters coming up. Hydra stand on the third base. All of our Voids going to come up through the middle of the map now. So Voids moving up through the center. Again, more Mutalisks up around the top, and just going to be seeing the Zerglings sat out over on the right as well. I've always given the map control. I mean, decent recovery from ShoWTimE after those Lings were in and around all over the place just previously, right? I mean, that was absolutely a pretty big concern, was definitely worrying. We just show up for the first time down on this bottom side, so the first probe is going to have to start pulling away. Good news for Reynor is that ShoWTimE was not really prepared for this at all. Even the Void Ray is right out of position, so he gets into this very well initially. 11, 12 workers going down. Switching it into Hydras behind this, as ShoWTimE now has to spend time building into Phoenix. And that's, you know, that's meant to be the strength of this. That's meant to be how you can make this work. So we've seen the Archons coming around, a couple of Mutas getting pushed back. 17 probes have fallen. And again, the Mutas are just going to come over to the right-hand side and see where they can go next. As Hydras, Banes, and Lings all continuing in. Mutas are just going to fly through towards the natural. And again, Voids and the Phoenix is going to go in for this. I mean, don't get me wrong, the damage done is nice, but these Mutas are a huge investment. And right now, they're finding some extra damage, but they really are on a timer. The more Phoenix that get out onto the map, the less they are going to achieve. And you know what I really love for ShoWTimE is that he's only built 2 Phoenix. You know, maybe you don't even need more. You can start defending this now, and you still put a lot of your money into, you know, units on the ground to go for a push. This army of Reynor on the ground is not that spectacular just yet. So if you can make that, you know, if you can defend realistically and decently with as little as possible without having to build all those Phoenix, I think that ShoWTimE might have a pretty good chance of an attack right now. Banes crashing through. The Banes obviously now going to start reaching some Archons. I'll be a little bit careful about those. Sends those Archons forward to tank for the damage. Only really Hydras and Lings left, and a few Queens showing up, but some Zealots are going to charge through, and I don't think there's a front line here for Reynor to hold that position, so the Voids are going to come on through this, and like I say, the Mutas are back across the map, and they are doing a bit more damage. ShoWTimE, I think, realizing, oh crap, lost my Phoenix, going to need something, but there is not enough on the ground right now to save Reynor, so he's in a lot of trouble as ShoWTimE keeps on pressing forwards. Honestly, this was kind of the situation I saw coming, right? You get this sort of setup where I think realistically, as Reynor, you just you know, so much of your money is in the mutas, you're not prepared properly on the ground. And again, because ShoWTimE just wasn't committing so heavily into Phoenix, he still had a very, very, very competitive ground army. Obviously, at this point, the mutas did continue to deal some damage, but I think he's making up for it with all the damage he's getting done across the map right now, you know, pushing in. These Banelings going down. Void's getting pushed back, one of them going down. Void's still pushing through. A few of the Hydras there chilling out as well. We do see a couple of Zelds going to go over the left side, picking away at a few more drones. More Zelds just going to charge on into this, and this hatchery is going to fall just like that. So hatchery will go down, and I mean, that's now Reynor on 3 bases. Again, the mutas were dealing some damage up until the very end. The Phoenix have just about cleaned them out now, I believe. So that's the end of the Mutalisks. ShoWTimE still has 60 workers, and these Spains don't even know where to go. They're like, we don't want to hit the Archons, but then what better things do we have to go for? The Zealots are too far away. ShoWTime's going to push in, clean this game out. He's going to take game 2 on Romanticide. Well played from ShoWTimE. I really liked his response to the Mutalisks. This is, again, one of these scenarios where I really think the Spire just doesn't really shine. You know, I like I say, having seen Reynor make it work at times as well, I get it. But this is the kind of way in which it can absolutely just flop and fail as well. So, super intriguing, super interesting. Excited to see if we see Reynor trying to attempt the Spire another couple of times in this. Bottom left-hand side, our Red Protoss player is ShoWTimE. Tying it up 101, I really liked his response to the Spire play there. A big fan of that, if I'm going to be honest, as we have in the top right, the blue Zerg. It is Reynor. So our third map, we are going to have a probe across once again. ShoWTimE is pretty consistent with just wanting to block this hatchery on the natural. What I do wonder is if there's any real kind of plans behind this for ShoWTimE. Does he intend to go into something like a Twilight opener at any stage? Does he mix it up, right, is what I'm trying to say. Does he move away from the Stargate? So he's already done 2 different Stargate openings, so he already is mixing it up a little bit in the best of 5. Will he mix it up so much so to go completely away from the Stargate? Is Oxide the map to do this on? Yeah, it's an alright map for Glaive Attack. It's okay for Glaive Attacks. It's not the best map for Glaive Attacks. So maybe not on this map. Maybe this is more of a Stargate-y one. So yeah, maybe in the future. Just gonna see our probe hopping up into the main base again. Looking to see what is happening. It's a good sign that we have more good casters than we can employ at once. It means something other than ESL must be helping everyone to keep in business. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like, the Starcraft stream, even just streaming, right, is Starcraft, like, yeah, it's not the most lucrative streaming opportunity out there, right? You know, you're not going to make the biggest dollars in the world streaming Starcraft 2. But the Starcraft fan base is very loyal and it's very solid, you know? It's very consistent. I know people are like, oh, is viewership trending up? Is viewership trending down? I don't think it's trending anywhere on any major scale for good or bad. But to me, it's staying consistent at least, which I always think is a very good sign. It's cool. Probe checking around up the top, having a look to see what's going on. Link speed is on the way. Stargate is coming in from ShoWTimE as well in the main base. Warp gates setting up on the natural ramp, and just going to be seeing the Overlord of Reynor pressing forward as we just see the scouting from him looking good. We'll see what comes out of the Stargate then from ShoWTimE. Tell us a little bit about what's going to be coming up next. I'm excited for whatever Frost Giant will produce. Yeah, of course. I mean, those guys made StarCraft, right? So, like, at the end of the day, whatever they produce, I believe, as long as they are able to produce something, which, you know, if they keep getting the funding they need, etc., I have full belief they're going to make something amazing. I see so many comments on Reddit recently about SC2 fading out. Not sure where people are getting this opinion. People just like to say stupid things, right? Like, people you've got to think that yeah, everyone really doesn't really know what they're talking about. Like everyone wants to have an opinion, but everyone's not very well informed. You know, for these, you know, there's a lot of people on our Starcraft, right? A lot of casual viewers who have never even heard of my stream, who have never tuned into a WardiTV event. You know, they watch GSL, they watch, you know, they hear that SC2 won't be at BlizzCon, right? They hear the World Championships doesn't happen at BlizzCon now, and they're like, crap, Starcraft 2 got downgraded. And that's obviously not the case at all, right? We still have, you know, BlizzCon just got moved. Instead of the World Champs at BlizzCon, we have the World Champs at Katowice. But they see that and they're like, well, StarCraft 2's dying. We don't even get to go to BlizzCon anymore. Well, no, it's just, you know, StarCraft 2 tournaments are ran by ESL instead of by Blizzard now. You know? Yeah, of course. I think the thing is as well, people... I'm going to end this discussion soon, but people also see StarCraft 2 now and they say, well, you know, look at where we were 5 years ago. We had Pro League. We had so many more players. We had this, we had that. And I don't think anyone will deny that StarCraft 2 has been, you know, downsizing and becoming smaller. But StarCraft 2 isn't going anywhere. Like, that's the thing. Like, it was always going to get smaller. It's a 10-year-old game, guys. It's a 10-year-old game. It was a game that wasn't built around the very popular kind of model for online games now, which is free to play with microtransactions and stuff. And, you know, it wasn't built for the modern era of gaming, and yet we're still such a strong community. We still have tens of thousands of dollars of prize money. Like, yeah, it's not as big as it used to be. Is anything meant to stay big for years upon years? Very, very few games will manage that. You know, Counter-Strike, League of Legends, like the top dogs. And even then, you got to think StarCraft 2 is really like a tier 2 esports still, right? We are still up above a lot of these other games, and when it comes to esports and what we have, yeah, we're not, you know, we're not a CS:GO or League of Legends anymore. We're freaking StarCraft 2, guys. Like, we're not going anywhere. People were saying the game was dying 7-8 years ago, you know, like it's just a stupid phrase that caught on, and people use it to justify opinions which aren't, which aren't necessarily very well educated when they're making those opinions and stuff. Like, that's just general kind of like, every game has this as well. Like, you know, sorry, I know this game's happening. I'll go to the game in a second. You're going to see the Robo Bay, which I talked about earlier. You know what, I'm going to end this now. I've kind of said my points. There's more to be said, but we could talk forever. Let's talk about the game, because this is changing up a little bit. And so far, you know, nothing too crazy. Some lings went down, the Void Rays were built. We're going to see the Robo Base. We're going to move into the Disruptor style. That's what I was talking about. We've seen a few players doing this Disruptor style instead of going for the Storm. So cool to see that ShoWTimE is bringing yet another style to this game, to this series. And Reynor too. This Spire is not the same Spire as we saw last time. Last time we saw melee upgrades, right? This time we're going to see missile upgrades. So already the game plan from both players looks very different. So I'm kind of excited. Now, of course, we saw Disruptors in game number 1 for ShoWTimE, but that was a very different setup altogether. That wasn't when he opened Void Rays. There was specifically the Void Rays into Disruptors I was discussing when I said, you know, that's one of the ways we've seen a lot of players mixing it up. Like I say, you kind of are able to go into a pretty quick, carrier transition beyond this. There are a couple of weak points, right? Like, the Disruptors, they work well, especially on certain maps too. This map, I think, because there's a lot of choke points into every position. So the Disruptors are really good at zoning you out from ever being able to push into those locations. But there are weaknesses, right? If you get flanked, if your Disruptor shots miss, if you fire them wrong, it will open chances for Reynor to maybe make a fight happen. I would say they can be more deadly, because when they connect, they're going to kill things. Whereas, you know, when a Storm connects, you back away, you kite out of it, you take some damage, but you regenerate. So they can be more deadly, but at the cost of, if you mess them up, you can get punished twice as hard as well, right? So that's where we're currently standing at. As you see, Storm is on the way up in the Temple Archives. Gonna be seeing all of these Mutalisks moving out over the left-hand side. The Queens around into the middle as well. Gonna drop down a Creep Tumor. Observer just checking in on that, as you're gonna see these probes being picked away at as well. So all of these going down. It's a lot of work, as the Void Rays do show up and those meters do get pushed away in the end. So 14 probes being picked off. The meters escape up the left-hand side, and the Baneling Nest will finish behind the main base right now. So finishing up that Baneling Nest. Things and roaches are going to go down the right-hand side. We still have queens in the middle of the map. The observer sat there watching them. Roach speed, Bane speed, the Ravagers all coming into play at the moment. We're just going to be seeing the Psy Storm on the way up as well from ShoWTimE as we dive through. And again, a few extra probes continuing to go down. 4 workers killed. Ravagers is going to move down through to the bottom side here. Disruptor shot fires. A couple lings go down. Storms available. Kind of intrigued by the Storm as well with the Disruptors. That is new to me. The fact he went Storm and Disruptors. I know I didn't really pick up on it with everything going on, but yeah. What an interesting start from ShoWTimE. I was talking about faster carriers, but yeah, now you just got all the splash damage on the ground. As Reynor just bringing the fight. Obviously maxing up on Lingbane Ravager. Queens as well. Avoid's trying to keep those mutas at bay. That Spire that came into play earlier. That's what we mean when we said the Spire can work for Reynor, right? You use it as a distraction to open up the opportunity for the ground army to size up and then to get a position and a push. Later on in the game, you haven't hit the Storms, the Disruptors, or anything here. That Disruptor gets killed before it hits the Banes. That might be a game ender, actually, because now Banes are going to reach this mineral line. There's not a lot left here from Rainbow. There's nothing left from ShoWTimE either, so both players taking heavy losses. A Disruptor going to get chased down. That Archon's low HP as well. And the Zealots are warping in slowly. The pylon not connected to the Nexus there on the left side. And now the Queen's going to show up full of energy, so these Warriors don't have much of a chance to hold on either. ShoWTimE's going to type GG, and Reynor is going to take game 3. This is a really interesting game from both sides. Again, the mutas making that kind of play to buy the time for the Reynor army. The ShoWTimE army was really kind of interesting to me as well. I look at ShoWTimE's army and I say, well, going into Storm and Disruptors, and honestly, he was just a little slow to react to this fight here. He had to panic Storm on top of his units, and then he just had nothing set up on the left side. If he'd seen that coming sooner, this Disruptor shot probably fires earlier, hits this set of Banelings more easily before it gets killed, and even that could have maybe been a bit of a game changer. Unfortunately, not quite the way it worked out in the end. GG's, and Reynor is going to retake his lead in this best of 5. The top right-hand corner of the map, our red Protoss player is ShoWTimE. And you know what we got to start us off this time around? It's Reynor 12 pooling. I like it from Reynor, switching up a little bit as well. Jackanathar is not actually a large map when it comes to rush distance. I'm intrigued. Drone. Gonna move forward and goes through the natural. Gonna see the probe checking around what's up. And as you do see that spawning pool will finish momentarily. Of course, the probe here is just blocking the hatchery. But in reality, this is a 12th pool. At some point, you've got to send this probe in to see what's going on. And that's when Reynor's going to bring the drone back. Try and get the hatch in location. Because it's a 12th pool, you would like to get this hatchery down on the natural. You don't want that to go elsewhere. He's not going to get it, is he? It's the timing of everything. The timing of the scout of the probe was well timed to make sure that 12 pool drone would not be able to build that hatch. Good scout in from ShoWTimE. Good timing of things. And obviously, preparations will begin at home. We'll see what route he takes. Generally, just looking for a wall off. Starts a Zealot right away. As long as you can wall this area off, you're generally going to be fine. With the setup he's gone for, he's just gone for a pylon right off the bat. Cybercore to the side. That should be a fairly quick, easy defense, actually. So, I like it for ShoWTimE. Good start to the game this time around, for sure. Pro moves up to the top. A few lings are moving in. A few pros moving out, and Zealot wanting to go and try and fill the gap. Second Zealot on the way, just going to be popping out. Going to go swipe down a few lings here, and again, a little bit of back and forth continuing for the moment. If you can kill a gateway, that would be really amazing as Reynor, but Don't really see it with the two zealots here. I mean, there's a lot of lings still mined, and okay, you got a little bit of a surround there. Is that enough to fight this? Probe's trying to come back. The adept gets you. You lose a zealot. It's not really the end of the world. I think it's going to move down the bottom side. Okay, coming in, a couple of extra gates building up from ShoWTimE in the natural. We've got the Overlord just scouting, so it's going to be a bit of an interesting follow-up here. ShoWTimE opts for 3 gateways. He'll end up in a position where he's going to be able to put on a lot of pressure across the map, so definitely we'll have some opportunities there as this Overlord goes down. A Twilight Council will go down in the back of the main base as well. So again, that's set up as our adept moves back away to the left. A couple of drones on the way. Link speed starting, and everything just continue to build up right now as our adept of ShoWTimE is going to bring itself back up to the top side of the map. Fire Council finishing in moments off all these gateways. I was obviously looking like it was probably going to be something non-Stargate related. And here's going to be the Glaives. Just a lot of adepts early in the game. It's not quite your typical Glaives, of course. This game is obviously just off a little bit. Adepts making their way down to the south side. Going to start shading forwards and looking to try and get through on towards the natural. Adepts do not commit in just yet. Again, the adepts over here just picking their way through the hatchery. So damage being done. Queen show up, and they're going to pick away those adepts as well as we continue over. 3 more adepts showing up from ShoWTimE down the bottom side, and again, this hatch taking quite a bit of damage at the moment. Queen's again pushing the adepts away. Resonating Glaives is on the way out from ShoWTimE as mentioned, so we're waiting on that. But look at what Reynor's going to do. He's going to drop down a Baneling Nest. I'm not very confident for him in this position at all, right? Bane Nest to me is not really... I mean, there's a reason you don't see a lot of Bane Nests against Adept setups. Because once you deal with the first round of Banes, the next round of Adept becomes very troubling. I guess in this scenario, maybe it works out simply for the fact there's no Warp Prison reinforcements. So maybe you can kind of make it work with this style. Yeah, maybe it's actually going to be okay for Reynor. I don't know if ShoWTimE has the pressure he needs to keep this up, but he's also ahead by 12 workers already, so it's not like ShoWTimE is really in need of getting forward and getting much more done. At the end of the day, extra adepts shading through the middle still and joining the rest of them. I wonder if ShoWTimE is even ready for, thinking about the Banelings. You might see them here with these shades. He will, so hopefully he's looking at those and knows what he's about to fight into. He goes into the main. Well, now you've got to kind of panic split away. You can see the adepts are not going to get away. I wonder if you actually realize the Banelings were on that ramp, because I don't know how good a trade this really was. At the end of the day, he is still up 13 workers, mind you. So he's still up 13, 14 workers. Army supplies are still kind of leveling out. As these adepts are going to shade back toward the natural expansion, the Forge on the way up from ShoWTimE in the main base as well. Just going to see a few more adepts out toward the third. And again, just flare building in the main of Reynor as we speak. This is going to keep that Ling away for a few moments. Ling goes down, and Temple Archive still just building up as well, so everything turned into a pretty regular ground army. Reynor is on his way to catching up in drones. In the theory here should be that because ShoWTimE is just mined more throughout the game, right, that he should end up on a larger army sooner than Reynor, and that should be the problem, but I'm not seeing it just yet because there's no tech in play, right? The only tech you have is the Glaives, which is, well, not really meant to be used at this stage. As you go up to charge, you're not going to build many more adepts unless you build a couple to shade in for harassment, so Yeah, I'm not seeing the army just yet for ShoWTimE that's going to show up and kind of overwhelm from that earlier worker lead in the game. Not in the slightest, in fact. Two gates up the top side. Couple High Templar from ShoWTimE gonna warp into the third. As you see, these Lings gonna take a bit of damage as they try and run on through. Adepts gonna continue down the left. The couple of Adepts continue to chase the Lings down in the main base also. So Adepts in the main being picked away at 1, 2, and not quite a third just yet going down. Speed building from Reynor at the moment, and the natural expansion's getting that ready. Again, just these couple extra High Templar warping into an Archon. So we are going to see a bit of an army from ShoWTimE, but I'd be lying if I said I was convinced about it. Roaches and Roach Speed coming up definitely feels like we're going to start sturdying the forces at the front lines. For Reynor to be able to hold this off, I mean, ShoWTimE just going to take the Archons into the main. I like this. I think this is a good way to harass. I think this is a good way to put some pressure on without committing a lot. Going to warp Zealots here as well. We'll see if the main army's going to try and push in as well. Again, that Roach count has been building up, and right now that Prism taking quite a few hits. Gets rid of 2 of the Queens. One of the Archons goes down, though, gets the last Queen, so now the Prism can stick around and micro, aka save the Archon. So she's in the left-hand side, and we will see a few drones going down, but that's about it. Obviously, Reynor being kept at 3 bases here as well, as ShoWTimE goes up to his 4th. So something else to keep in mind is that ShoWTimE is still going to completely dominate the economy of this game, as it stands. And for that reason, I like the Spire of Reynor, because I feel like what he's doing now with the Roaches, etc., that's great for surviving. It's not going to do him any favors when it comes to getting back into the game. Like, he might survive a bit longer, but you're still going to fall apart eventually. I think the Spire and the Mutalisks are something you need right now to mix this game up a little bit and to give you something that can perhaps give you the edge you need to turn the tides just that little bit, right? If you can turn this game and start to get it to shift a little, yeah, I'm 100% behind it. I think the mutas are a great idea. Don't need a lot of them. He's just building 8, and I would have been fine with either side. You go mass muta, you go just 8 mutas. The 8 mutas mean you can get some harassment in and keep ShoWTimE a bit busy while having an army in case he tries to counterattack. If you went mass muta, maybe you're not in a position to go mass muta. A, because of the gas count available, and B, just because Cross of Bows. They were on the Prism as it recalled out. I don't know how it's alive. Yeah, I have no idea how this is alive. That's crazy. But yeah, with A, if you're a mass meter, maybe you A, don't have the gas, and B, if you go for it, you just don't have a way. You don't have enough mass meters anyway to still kind of push through before you just lose out in the base trade. Meters fly away through the top as Roaches Ravages. Making their way through the center. Zealot or 2 being picked away at. More Zealots warping in. I'm just going to see this Roach Ravager force continue to try and fight into this. The Prism overhead. Has the Archon inside as well. Corrosive Bowels going down. And again, these Roaches just going to kite back through the top side. Archon's picking away at the Roaches as well. And still just seeing our Zealots charging forwards here, wanting to go in after the rest of this army. Corrosive Bowels killed off a Roach there. Now they're hitting the Ravagers too. Good defense across the board from ShoWTimE. The Mutalisk count has been dealt with. The Roach Ravager on the left and right has been dealt with. Or at least held off for the moment. It's not dealt with, it's still here, but it's not being able to do major damage. And we're already talking about a Roach Ravager army that's going up against, what, 170 supply Protoss? I mean, that's fantastic for the Protoss player. This Roach Ravager army should not find the value it needs to find to really change this beautiful force fields. Gonna trap some units in, and those are free pickings. And that's going to bring a lot of damage onto the side of Reynor, who is still just massing Roach Ravager, trying to find a hope and a prayer to bring him back into game number 4. Else he might have to play a game 5 for this. And to me, that's where this one's headed, unless ShoWTimE starts to make some major mistakes to let Reynor back into this. And I really do think those have to be some major mistakes as well, right? Now, that said, the army supply of Reynor right now is kind of high. And he is on kind of a position right where the drone count is good enough to keep this going for a while. And honestly, his trades aren't terrible. He's getting some Val connections. ShoWTimE's back and forth here is not exactly the most efficient way of trading this out. I mean, it's still efficient overall, but it's set up right now that Reynor is at least making work. The question is, does he ever get a win off this? You know, again, I'll come back to this idea of you might be okay for now, but what's the future looking like? And to me, the future of what he's doing right now is hoping that at some point ShoWTimE just takes one trade a little bit too badly, and he can capitalize on that and maybe just overwhelm. And maybe that's right now, as the army supply definitely rising a bit from Reynor. ShoWTimE not moving much. I do like that ShoWTimE's adding on a Robo Bay, mind you. The Robo Bay to me is going to be a pretty big way of helping to push this back. Obviously, disruptor shots would be amazing into this massive blob of Ravagers that really do keep on pushing into choke points. I actually think that's just a really cool way to approach this. We saw a game like this with, I was mentioning that Reynor playing some PvZ in ESL Cup 58. Against Neve, he played a game like this where he was kind of in a bad spot, and the Roach Ravager actually managed to work in the end. What Neve never was able to get up to in that scenario was he's never really able to get up to Disruptors, but I think Disruptors, one of the things we kind of discussed at the time, because if you can get Disruptors, you really just can't make a lot of these moves as Reynor. You got to back away without dealing damage a lot more. You maybe can, you really expose yourself to force fields more quickly without gaining anything. I definitely think there's some positives in that, or some bits to look at as you see the Stalkers, Immortals, and Zealots continue to move through. Disruptor shot fires, Ravagers splitting away. One Ravager going down. Well, Stalkers still warping. Just going to see Stalkers blinking through. These Queens in some trouble. They will go down. And again, the couple of Zealots on the bottom right-hand side are going to get picked off as well. Move over to the right. The Roach gonna get picked off. A few biles still going down. Stalkers now keep on backing away. So if the shot tries to land, doesn't find it. Roaches make their way through to the top side. Gonna go in after a couple of these cannons. So we'll make their way through those. Disruptor shot fires. A few of the Ravagers are going to be picked off again. That's what I mean. The Disruptors have made a difference, right? There's been a complete change in pacing during this game. The moment these Disruptors took to the field, it's been a completely different way of things playing out, honestly. It's looked very different. Drones going down on the right-hand side. 7 workers already killed. Immortals, Stalkers coming back. Bane's coming through, gonna dive in. We see Bane's around the top side as well, looking to see what they can do. A lot of these Immortals are very exposed, and Reynor's gonna try and jump on this. It feels like it's like, in a way, it's good for Reynor, but at the same time, he's losing a lot himself. Both players lose out heavily, plus the drone count going down is obviously gonna hurt Reynor. It's not like he was 80+ drones. Overall, resources lost is still favoring ShoWTimE, and considering he's been, for me, the better economy for the majority of the game, the leads that Reynor's had have been very minimal when it comes to economy. So it's still all about ShoWTimE, I think, as this 5th base is coming up. Little bars up there. ShoWTimE just going to move around. Archons and Stalkers hanging around. You see the Ling Roach Ravager around the right, moving through. A couple of bars coming down. Disruptor's going to fire. Bane's going to move in. Zealots get kind of crushed, but honestly, only really a few Zealots to the side that go down in that. The Stalkers are still going to fight off these Ravagers. The supplies are still trending in Reynor's favor if you just look at purely supply, but if ShoWTimE can hold this off, he does just have the better rebuild still. And he's going to get a few Phoenix lifting up these Ravagers now as well. Like that. That's when these Phoenix were made. I don't know if they were just kind of leftovers from before, if he was afraid of the Mutalisk rebuild, because that's something to consider too. There were Mutas earlier in this game. There's nothing to stop Reynor saying, I don't think you have a lot of Muta defense right now. Let's rebuild Mutas. Let's test the waters there. Let's try a switch. So I don't mind a couple Phoenix being out. A little bit of something just to keep things a little bit safer overall. Actually, I kind of like that a lot. I think it's a pretty smart way of playing it. Banes the rally up top. A few battles on the right side. Ooh, disruptive flank gets a few ravages. That's cute. Coming up the other angle. We do see some Lings counter-attack and some Banes as well. So ShoWTimE going to be under a lot of pressure in different places. While fighting over here, he's going to lose the probes line. There's just no response there at all. So he loses pretty much everything on the third, the fourth base, or top left base. Sorry, got cancelled. It's not his fourth base, it's his sixth base. As Zealot's also making a play for this hatchery. Turns for some drones and Lings. Maybe could have continued on the hatch, honestly, and gotten rid of it. That would be Reynor's sixth base being denied. But, well, the rest of the army's going to show up now anyway. So you know what? Maybe you're right to kind of just go for it the way he did. Get the unit kills when he can. He knows he's going to get the hatch on the follow-up attack anyway. Well, just as Reynor got a bunch of kind of aggression around the map, suddenly you see some success right there too. ShoWTimE going to keep Reynor away. Just going to see Building Vein Roach going to move around the bottom side as well. The army of ShoWTimE is still out to the right. I'm just going to see a few Archons being brought into this as well. The Zalds coming through. Our Banes, they're going to be kept back as the cannon starts to fire up on them. I think it's going to go into the bottom left-hand corner. Ling here is still up top left as well, watching for this base coming back online. Push forward, these few Banes crash in. Archon soaking the damage. Zealot's obviously just going to keep on running until the Banes are gone. Sends a Disruptor shot in. Kind of blows up more Zealots than he blows up anything else, I think. But also has another couple shots to use. The Archon count is again going down, man. You know, if nothing else, this game has been extremely scrappy throughout, right? A lot of small trades, skirmishes. They've been very back and forth fights as well, but I do feel like it's starting to really fall apart for Reynor, who, more than anything, is just losing out on the bases he needs. We're 20 minutes into the game, you need more than 4 bases, and that's what Reynor's been reset to at this stage. Zealots still charging down the right side. These couple queens in trouble. The Zealots are going in for the Roach Ravager force. Extra Roach is being brought online, as we'll see. ShoWTimE moving back up the right side. A few High Temple will morph into Archons. And the Bane's going to try and make their way in towards the mineral line here. Looking to see what they can do. So in they go. And it's going to crash in for a bunch of probes. Kind of cute, right? Lifting a couple of these Ravagers, trying to keep them out of the fight, trying to keep them somewhere you can pick them up. Some battles connecting, mind you, as Disruptor shots fly, and it's going to be another Ravager and a couple Banes. Like I picked off in it. ShoWTimE is starting to take a supply lead in the game. And this game will start as well, with Reynor being quite far behind, remember, off the initial Adepts. He was, even the Adepts not dealing much damage to trade now, but he was just down like 12 workers for the entire first 6 minutes of the game. It's just the power of Reynor, the magic of being able to bring these games back and to put them into some sort of contention when they really just shouldn't be. So let's charging down, scan the Ling Roach away, and we are going to be seeing the +2 melee upgrade coming in as well. 16 more Lings producing, and just going to see our Phoenix still flying around on that right-hand side. Again, a few extra Banes coming up, extra High Temple are morphing in. Just going to see a few more Ravagers out on the left. We'll see another hatchery coming through as well. Again, Zealots, Archons, Stalkers, and Disruptors make their way into the middle of the map. Is there an army for Reynor to fight here? I mean, this is just actually like Archon Disruptor, basically. It's one thing to note about ShoWTimE's armies that it's just been getting more and more tech units involved, and Reynor has definitely struggled to get, reset those tech units as much as he was doing earlier. First dropping down, the Archon's still moving in, and Zealots on the left-hand side going to get a bit of a flank on these Ravagers. There's only a couple of Banes involved to try and clean out these Zealots, and they do start to connect, but it's not enough to actually get the kills. ShoWTimE is going to find the base of Reynor to the left-hand side. Disruptor shot hits big up the ramp. Oh, and look at the supply difference now. It's huge! A little bit less so now because of that Baneling connection, but I don't know if it matters at all as ShoWTimE gets workers of his own on this side of the map, and he's going to continue forward. He's going to go for the kill right now as he's just pushing through, and he does indeed have enough to close this game out, I think. Reynor is going to try and split away. Disruptors are hitting Zealots. I mean, if that continues, hit Zealots again. If that continued, maybe Reynor could have come back into it, but obviously it's not meant to be like that. ShoWTimE ties us up 2-2 in the best of 5. GG's. So, bottom left-hand side, he ties it up on Jagannath to bring us to this game 5. What a fight he's putting up at the moment. It's ShoWTimE down in the bottom left corner of the map. As we have in the top right-hand side, the blue Zerg player from Team Clash. This is Reynor. Final map of the series here in the semi-finals, and we'll be casting the finals of this event after as well, also from replays, and just a little bit as soon as this series wraps up. That is the plan of action. Been an exciting series, actually. I've liked the diversity of the builds. I know it's been Void Ray focused, but even if the Void Ray focused, there's been a couple of differences here and there a couple times over, right? So been a couple of switch ups, been a couple of ways in which things have changed. Interesting now to see what our game number 5 will bring us. As you see the hatch off over to the side, obviously, 12 pool. It's been mixed up from Reynor and ShoWTimE, right? Both have been bringing some different styles. Both have been bringing some different ways to play. And that's what's made it just a very exciting series all the way throughout this. Actually, that for me, that's been one of the big parts of why this has been such a... Honestly, not every ZvP lately has been super enjoyable. And, if you see this guys playing double Stargate, Void Ray, etc. every single time, it gets old pretty quick, but switching it up, a series like this one, these are the sort of series which I think ZvP is still a very entertaining matchup. Now, this is Pillars of Gold, shorter map, definitely one where Reynor might edge towards the kind of aggressive side of things once again. Definitely a possibility there. So maybe we'll be keeping our eyes open for that one. Let's tell you something, keep in mind, right? The definitely feels like an aggressive map. Queen walks, very possible on this map for sure. There's a lot of ways in which things can go. Things are chasing down that probe, and see the Adept of ShoWTimE is moving up to the top. I'm going to shade through, just going to go in after the Zergling there. The Stargate going to be finishing in a few moments' time. Going to be seeing the Void Ray producing. So, first 3 minutes, we see a Void Ray opener. This Overlord's like, well, I'm going to try my best effort to get away, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to move quickly enough. I'm not sure if he's really going to be able to get out of here. I mean, the Adept see where he is as well. Doesn't really do much either, right? I mean, he's going to try and change direction. Like I say, if you can even just buy some time where this Void Ray doesn't quite find you, so it takes a little longer to clean out, then maybe it's less time the Void Rays across the map. And it's one thing to keep in mind. Pylon down on the south, we're going to see these couple of Adepts just sitting out here. The Void Ray of ShoWTimE all the way over to the right side right now as well. So it's going to go moving along as the Fulings are going to make their way around. Again, Void Ray out down on the bottom side of this here. It's going to be seen activating and going to go in for the Overlord. So Overlord going to take some damage, going to fall. Second Stargate coming up. We know what this looks like. We know where it's headed from ShoWTimE then. Reynor's going to go straight to lair. So no missiles, no melee upgrades, just straight to a lair this time around. Maybe just some quick hydras. Could go. Okay, so I was talking about aggressive timings. Maybe something like a Ling Hydra timing or Ling Bane Hydra timing. That's a possibility here. What else is really possible of just a fast lair? The thing is, the reason I say timing focus is because there's no upgrade, right? So it seems unlikely that you're playing for the longer game. Okay, it's a Roach-Roaran. Now he is going to have the Evo Chamber as well. Okay, then what is the quick lair for? What are we going to do with this? Is it just Roach Speed nice and quickly? He's going to pull back up to the top. The Oracle moving through the top as well. Is going to go in. Spore into the natural. Just going to be seeing the +1 missiles coming through. Drones coming up. Forge and the Twilight coming down in the main base as well. Okay. So, I mean, really, probably one of the most passive games we've had between the two of them for the first 6 minutes. So, obviously, we're at this point now where the Void Rays can start out a bit of pressure and start to deal some damage in other places. Going to come through the top side. Damage onto this extractor. Pretty committed with the Void Rays, moving very far through, really chasing that Queen. It's difficult with that Spore Crawler there. Though. Gets the extractor, I mean, that's the main victory out of all of this. 66 drones, +1 missiles on their way through. Again, still intrigued by such an early lair, which has not come into anything, right? Even just Roach Speed is only just starting now. And those few voids just going to gather up in the center and starting to come through. The Queen's going to turn them around again, so a bit of back and forth right there. Roach Speed is still continuing. It's about halfway along. Now the Voids want to turn back in toward those Queens once more, but not much going to come of it just yet. Just going to see again those Ravagers going to be finishing in just a few moments, and extra Queen still coming through. +1 missiles, Roach Speed, all of this continuing in. Still 66 drones, right? So we're still looking at this idea of it just being this aggressive Queen walk across the map and looking to try and end the game with this attack. So Queen's already on the way across. Ravagers are coming. Kills the 4th hatchery. I mean, to me, this should be kind of warning signs for ShoWTimE. Why is he just letting you kill this hatchery? There's still a lot of Queens back at home, mind you. What does ShoWTimE have defensively? 2 Archons? Man, feels like he's got nothing in comparison to what he needs. First couple of battles coming down. The first cannon's very far forward. ShoWTimE is supply blocked as well, so he's got money to spend that he just can't spend yet. So that's actually kind of frustrating, especially in a moment like this where it's very difficult to get unsupply blocked because you're going to keep on losing pylons as the fight happens. He's just about had a couple finish up, so it's not so bad here. Zealot's on the way in as well. They're going to start moving forward. The Queen's still fighting back against these Voids. Couple more biles and the Voids back away. Zealot's still charging through. The Queen's taking quite a lot of damage. Roaches are dropping down dead. Getting more of these Queens still going down. And we do see a little bit of a hold here initially from ShoWTimE. Now, it's not done yet. The rest of the Queens showing up. Don't get too overeager here, ShoWTimE. Fighting without your batteries is one way to lose this game. There are more units coming. You're not done yet. As he pulls back a little bit, the couple of Archons finish morphing in. And again, joining this up together, we've got another Ravager morphing, looking to push down this bottom side. In we go as we've got the cannon taking a bit of damage, a couple of battles coming down. Roaches and Ravagers still just moving on through this one as we've got, again, the Queens trying to keep these Void Rays at bay. Re-engaging in these Queens. Just needing to go down at the moment. Just going to be seeing the Roaches and the Ravagers still continuing through. Looks like this is going to be a bit too much for ShoWTimE. Reynor has the numbers. Reynor takes it down. ShoWTimE just didn't have the way. He dealt with the first round of this very well. It was the follow-up. He just didn't quite have the numbers to deal with it. Unfortunate. GG's. Well played. And Reynor goes through to the finals, which is what we're going to be watching next. Again, if you watch this one on YouTube, obviously the next series will be the next YouTube video along. But now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all the YouTube things. And we'll talk to Twitch in a moment.